Hello, dreamers and midnight wanderers. You've found your way to creepy Chillz, where the dark is gentle and the nightmares are kind. Tonight, let the shadows pull you under. But first, whisper to the void below. Globe showing Europe, Africa, where in the world are you listening? Mantelpiece clock, what hour does the moon rule your sky? There's something beautiful about strangers drifting to sleep, to the same haunted lullaby. If tonight's story carries you away, leave a comment or just let go. Now, close your eyes. The dark won't hurt you here. Pause, then softer. At least, not tonight. It started with a soft groan in the nursery, just past midnight, when the moonlight brushed against the wheels of the small red toy truck. The house slept. The wind outside had died down, and the trees no longer whispered secrets. Even the stars twinkled more slowly in the sky, like weary eyes shutting one by one. In the nursery, everything was quiet, except for the truck. It hadn't budged in years. Its paint had flaked, its wheels had grown stiff. But tonight, under the quiet of silver moonlight, it moved forward, gently, one wheel at a time, a few inches across the wooden floor. The noise was soft, almost too quiet to hear. But the child shifted. She didn't open her eyes, not really. She just rolled over, further into her dreams. And the truck rolled again, to the window. The following morning, something different occupied the space in the center of the rug. A pebble, a small one, black and slick as glass. The girl retrieved it, studying it in the light. Unusual, she thought. But she wasn't frightened. The second evening, the truck stirred again. Same time, same noise, same creeping pace to the window. But this time, it carried a string with it. Not a ribbon, not silky. A knotted strand of thread, frayed ends. It had the faint scent of rain and something older. The girl put it alongside the pebble. Every night afterwards, the toy went back into its rhythm, gesturing without touch, bringing things that didn't belong. A cracked marble right down the middle. A button cold to touch, in the shape of a face. A piece of paper with a word written in crayon, follow. The girl didn't share it with anyone. Not her mother. Not her father. Something told her these were all hers, even when they started to feel off. One evening, she discovered a feather, not soft like the others. It was rigid and gray, with a pointed tip that pierced her finger when she touched it. Another evening, a small tooth. It was not hers. Still, the toy continued rolling. And still, she continued dreaming. She dreamed it, sweeping across the floor, always for the window, where something beyond the glass awaited. A figure, shaded, waiting. The toy truck didn't only bring things. It took something away with it when it went. The warmth of the room, the color from the curtains, the buzz of the night. The house started to be quieter than before. Too quiet, as if it was holding its breath. And the girl, she started to feel it too. A chill by her bedside, a whisper in the shadows, a figure on the periphery of her sleep. But she was not frightened, not exactly, only curious, and sleepy heavy. One evening, the toy delivered something new, a little, shattered mirror. When she gazed into it, her face did not blink. It merely smiled. The girl set it beside the tooth and the string on her shelf. She did not wonder why. She merely waited for the following evening. And it arrived. The toy rolled further, beyond the nursery, into the hall. Its wheels were silent now, only a hum low and deep. The girl stood up, sleepwalking but conscious, pulled forward like a thread pulling her hand. She walked behind it through the darkened house, beyond the pictures, beyond the door, out into the garden where no wind blew and the moon looked down without blinking. There, under the oak tree, the truck came to a halt. It bore no gift this time, only a gap in the rear of it, just big enough for a hand, or something smaller. The girl extended and touched it. At that instant, she heard it. Not the toy, not the wind, but the one who stood at the window. A voice deep and rich as earth. "Thank you." The truck backed up by itself, and the girl, still and quiet, stood beneath the tree. She didn't talk. She didn't move. In the nursery, the bed was vacant. The shelf was empty. The toys were silent. And the house? It breathed. Not sorrowful. Not frightened. Only quiet. He prowled the streets just after lamplight was extinguished, long after the town was asleep, when moonlight disappeared behind clouds and everything forgot to breathe. They used to call him the Hollow Man, not for making a noise, but for not. He had no face, no eyes to look, no mouth to speak, no name anybody recalled. But if you ever woke up late enough in the night, later than dreams, later than thought, you may hear the quiet of his footsteps, soft as ash falling in water. He never hurried, never ran, only walked, street to street, corner to corner, as if searching for something he had lost long, long ago. And those who saw him, they said the air around him changed. It became thinner, quieter, as if even time stood still to see him go. He had no hat, no shoes, only a long coat that flowed like mist. And when he drew near, nearer than ease, you found yourself lighter, not in your body, but in your mind. Words escaped you. Memories lost their sharpness. You'd forget what you were doing, what you were thinking about, what your name was too. That's what they said anyway. But no one ever saw him twice. Not in the same manner. Some said he glided past like a ghost. Others said he halted and cocked his head. And one boy a long time ago said that the Hollow Man had gone down on his knees and reached out with a hand made of nothing and stripped him of his name. Not cruel, not evil, just lonely, like dust on a windowsill. But he wasn't cruel, only lonely, so enormously still. They say the Hollow Man doesn't wish to hurt. He only wishes to forget. And so he walks, seeking silence deep enough to cradle him. A silence where faces don't exist, and names dissolved like snow. One girl once trailed behind him. She awoke in the night, felt the tug of footsteps without sound. She got up without thought, barefoot, almost floating, down the steps, beyond the door, out into the night that smelled of cold stone and stars. She saw him there, at the roadside, still, waiting, not turned towards her. He didn't have a face, after all, but conscious, there, like a thought on the verge of waking. The girl didn't say anything. She only moved closer, and with each step, something dissolved. Her name, her birthday, her favorite lullaby, all unraveling like threads in water. But she was not afraid. She was tranquil, heavy but gentle, like sleep embracing her shoulders. The Hollow Man turned, slowly, without weight. and although he had no eyes, she sensed him regarding her. He lifted a hand, open, empty, and set it just above her heart. Not touching, just suspended there. And in the space between his hand and her chest, she felt everything calm, quiet, so still. Then he dropped his arm, stepped back, and disappeared. Not into shadow, not into mist, just gone. The girl awoke in her bed, warm, safe, her heart pounding like a lullaby. And although she had forgotten so much, she recalled the hush, the stillness, the peace. She slept more soundly after that, every night, as if the Hollow Man had removed something heavy with him, something she no longer needed to bear. Now, they say he still walks, on streets that no longer exist, in towns where dreams roam, through the creases of sleep itself, looking, searching, listening for footsteps like his own. And if you ever wake just beyond the edge of midnight, when the world is folded in upon itself and silence vibrates like a lullaby, you may hear him. A step, a pause, a breath. But do not be frightened. He doesn't wish to steal anything that is yours. Only the sound, only the burden, and perhaps, just perhaps, a small piece of sorrow you were prepared to release. So sleep now. Let your name float away. Let your mind become still. The night is long, but soft, and the Hollow Man is already passing by. It began with a noise, quiet as breathing, consistent as rain, emanating from the door at the far end of the hallway, the door that had always been shut. No one used it. No one spoke of it. It simply existed, quiet and closed, like an abandoned page in a novel. But one night, shortly after the sky had darkened to the shade of ashes and lavender, the noise started. Tha Chempi, a very soft thump, then silence, then once more, like a soft tapping from the inside, or something that's waiting to be seen. The house was old. It knew how to groan and to whisper, but this was not like that. This was different. This was patient. Every evening, the noise returned, always just after darkness, always just before sleep. Tha Chempi. Tha Chempi. The individual, let's name her Rowan, tried to brush it off initially. They'd hurry through the hallway, turn on the kettle's whistle, fill the edges of the house with music. But the noise persisted. If anything, it softened. And weirder. One evening, it wasn't a thud. It was a flutter. Like wings against wood. Like turning pages slowly in the dark. Another evening, a tune. Just a few phrases. Played on something not made anymore. Rowan found themselves in front of the door more and more often. Just listening. Just curious. The door was plain. Worn out white paint. A brass doorknob that wouldn't turn. No keyhole. No hinges on their side. As though it had been put there, not constructed. And the noise behind it kept altering. Occasionally rain. Occasionally humming. Occasionally whispers of their own name. But ever soft. Never scary. Only odd. Like a dream on the verge of remembering. Then one evening, one night, the door was ajar. Just a little bit. No noise. No breeze. Just open. A thin line of silver light cut into the corridor. And Rowan, holding breath as though it were a fragile thing, moved forward. Their fingers touched the lip of the door. smooth, cool. The wood vibrated under their skin. They pushed. The door creaked silently open, and what extended beyond was not room. It was sky. Endless, still sky. Deep violet and dusky blue, pulsing with stars like hearts. Below was not floor, but mist, rolling, glowing, rippling like silk in slow movement. There were no walls, no ceiling, only openness. And there, just a few steps away, a little table. On it, a box. Old. Wood. Bound with a ribbon that came undone as Rowan drew near. No note. No lock. Inside, a single thing. A mirror. But when Rowan glanced inside, they did not see themselves. They saw a memory. One they had not considered in years. Running through summer grass. Laughter. Bare feet. A voice beckoning them home. And then another one. A moment in the rain. A song hummed in the dark. A warm light from the window. And another too. The first time they heard the door thump. Each memory like a step backward. Like pages turned to the start. And lastly, silence. Soft. Full. Rowan shut the box. Not afraid. Only still. They gazed up, and saw the stars had shifted, now creating a path, like stepping stones in the sky. But they didn't take it. Not yet. They turned, walked back through the door, and softly closed it behind them. The knob turned now. It clicked softly, like a secret. The noises never came back. But Rowan slept deeper afterward. As if something had settled, as if a question had been answered, even if they never asked it out loud. And some nights, when the sky was violet too, they dream of the world beyond the door, and wake with a peaceful heart, and a sensation like they'd just come back from somewhere. Impossible. It was never meant to be opened, but on one still afternoon, when the clouds were low and the wind remembered where it was going, the old toy store unlocked itself. The sign was awry. The windows were shrouded in cobwebs, and the door hadn't creaked open in years. But there it stood, wide open, waiting. Nobody else seemed to see. Not the people on the sidewalk, not the mother clutching her child's hand. Only the boy. He was small, quiet, curious in that children are when they sense something is not quite right, but also not quite wrong. Something like a dream you only half remember. He entered in. The air was heavy with time. Old wood, paper, a whiff of lavender and something forgotten. The shelves were crowded with toys that did not blink, did not move, did not breathe. But they seemed alive, as though they were listening. The boy moved slowly. All was quiet. No clocks ticked. No radios were on. Only quiet. And the sense that he was being observed kindly, like stars watching from far away. Then he noticed it. A small plush rabbit. Faded gray fur. Button eyes. One dangled loosely on a thread. Its ears pointed in opposite directions, as if it had been loved too fiercely, too long before. It sat on the counter as if it had always been his. Waiting. He didn't request permission to take it. There wasn't anyone to tell him no. So he just picked it up and left. The door closed behind him. Quietly, with a sigh. That evening, the rabbit sat on the shelf next to his bed. Still. Watching. He didn't realize at first. But the room seemed different. Cooler. As if the rabbit had brought in a little bit of the toy store with it. The next morning, his room was different. just a little. Barely. A wooden soldier now occupied the dresser. One he hadn't owned. The boy blinked at it. Touched it. Cold. He looked back at the rabbit. Its head had tipped. Just a bit. That evening, he had a dream about the toy shop. But it was not sleepy this time. The shelves lurched. The toys spoke in voices like puffs of paper in the breeze. And the rabbit sat at the center of it all, waiting and immobile. When he awoke, the soldier was missing, replaced with another toy. An old jack-in-the-box, rusted clothes. And the rabbit? It was now sitting at the end of his bed. Every night brought a dream. Every morning brought a new toy. A marionette with knotted strings. A spinning top that spun silently. A doll without a face. The boy said nothing. He became quieter by day. But at night, he watched the rabbit. And the rabbit watched him. One night, he attempted to lock it in the closet. Just for a night. But in the morning, it was back. On his pillow. Closer than before. That night, the dream was different. The toy store was darker. The air heavier. And the toys whispered louder now. Not words, just sounds. But he knew. They didn't want to hurt him. They just wanted to be remembered. They had been left too long. Locked away behind a door that no one opened. Until him. The boy awakened slowly. The rabbit was in his arms now. Not heavy. Not warm. Just there. He gripped it tighter than before. And whispered, "I remember you." From that night on, the dreams mellowed. The toy store brighter. The toys quieter. They didn't leave new presents anymore. Just silence. And sleep. The boy slept deeper. Softer. Longer. The rabbit never stirred again. It remained on the shelf, ears bent just so. And the boy, when questioned where he found it, would only say, "From a store that opened just for me. Just once." No one believed him. But they never removed the rabbit. Because he slept so peacefully now. So quiet. So motionless. And each evening, the wind outside would hesitate beside his window. As if listening. As if thankful. The toy shop was never seen again. But the rabbit stayed. Watching. Remembered. Peaceful. It started on an evening when the wind had died, and the moonlight caused the windows to glitter like water. It was on this evening that Alex discovered the game. It wasn't in a box. It wasn't in a case. A thin black disc. Quietly sitting in the drawer of a desk which hadn't been opened for years. Alex had no recollection of leaving it there. But when they flipped it over, in silver lettering, barely visible, was the word, Whisper. No logo. No company. No directions. And something about it was soft. Like the border of a dream you didn't want to wake from. They waited until dark. Because that's when the house seemed quiet enough. When the world outside crept by. And the whine of the old TV made the walls seem close and cozy. The disc glided into the console with a whisper. No loading screen. Just darkness. And then, a flicker. A whisper. Low music sounded, like an old lullaby sung far, far away. And the game started. It wasn't like other games. There were no menus. No lives. No score. Only a dim hallway. And footsteps that weren't Alex's. They made the character walk. The hall grew longer. Shadows curled in the corners. But nothing ever jumped. Nothing ever pursued. It was only the sense of being watched, of something waiting around the corner. They played for minutes, hours. Time warped gently, and when they turned the game off, the hallway remained, not on the screen, in the house. First, it was the lights. The hallway light flickered, then became warm and golden, just like the one in the game. Then came the sound, a gentle creak, like a step on wood. But Alex lived alone. Every night they played, the game expanded, not just on the screen, but in the room. A coat rack materialized in the corner, the same as the one in the game. A music box played from a room that hadn't existed yesterday. The hallway extended longer in real life, just a little bit. One more step, one more door. But it was never scary, only curious. The game never demanded anything, never instructed Alex to continue playing. But when evening arrived, it was there, whispering softly through the screen. And Alex always responded. One evening, the game added a door. Red, locked, but glowing softly, as if it had a pulse. Alex accessed it in-game. The door wouldn't open. But the next morning, there was a red door at the end of their hallway. Not painted, not constructed, just there. They didn't open it. Not initially. They just touched the knob. It was warm. That evening, the game was altered. The hallway was gone. Only the door was left. The music had dissipated, replaced by the gentle hum of wind through trees. Alex sat quietly in front of the screen. Their reflection in the dark glass blinked slowly. Then, they pressed the button. The door creaked open, and what lay beyond wasn't horror. It wasn't fire or monsters or screams. It was a room, still, soft, filled with stars, like the inside of a dream. There was a chair, a book, a window that showed a sky with 2 moons, and a voice, like velvet wind, whispered, "You've brought it to life." Alex closed their eyes, not afraid, not confused, just still. The following morning, the game was nowhere to be found. The disc would no longer function. The hallway had returned to normal. The red door was gone. But something lingered. A serenity. A silence. As if Alex had caught a glimpse of something seen by very few. The location where stories nap before they're born. They never discovered the disc again. But occasionally, in the emptiest moment of the night, when the house is sound asleep, Alex attests they can still hear the music, a lullaby from the other side of the screen. And when they close their eyes, just before dreams take over, they see the stars and the door, just waiting to open again.